This is Larry, the normal type gym leader in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Even though lore-wise Larry is the least known gym leader in the game, online he's the most known because of how relatable he is. Man's not only a gym leader but also an Elite Four member and also a project manager for a construction firm? You get the point, he works a lot and he's just tired of everything. That's why everybody loves Larry, everyone but her. Although she does love giving him more work to do. So what if Larry here decided to ask for a promotion by getting himself all 8 gym badges, beating the Elite Four, and taking down Geeta? Before asking how good or bad his life would be, we first have to ask, could he even do it? Could Larry become champion? To find out, I played through Pokemon Violet as Larry, using his post-game rematch team along with their movesets, abilities, and a bunch of other rules that might make this run near impossible. And yes, I will be using his gym team and not the Elite Four team because Larry himself says that he prefers normal types. Now let's begin. Larry's endgame team is very normal, especially at the start. He's got the Route 1 normal type signature to its region, and an early game bird which can be found at a fixed spawn on the way to Cartondo. Although both Pokemon were pretty low level when we caught them, so we had to do some average Pokemon trainer activities like battling wild Pokemon for extra experience. Since Larry is also a foodie, we decided to go to the Olive Garden and then treat ourselves to some Smolives, which were not nearly as common as I had expected, just like the quote-unquote unlimited breadsticks. Then it was time to battle the first gym leader, Katie, and it was a pretty easy battle since we could just spam wing attack and sweep through her team. Having acquired our first gym badge, we made our way towards Artisan, but noticed a shining light and the canyons on the way. Before going to fight the Dunsparce that was giving off that light, I thought I'd save the game just in case, but since being in the menu doesn't pause Pokemon animations, it just dug a hole and disappeared. I thought maybe it just went into hiding before attacking us or something, but nope, just despawned. It's such great game design. Anyways, I restarted the game and he was back. Well, it took him a second, but he was back. Great game design. And after a quick battle, we caught ourselves our third teammate. Once we got to Artisan, Geeta had some busy work for us, so instead of getting to battle Brassius right away, we first had to look for the local Sunflora and take them on a short walk around Artisan. Larry had no problem finding them since a lot of them were slacking off and hidden in places where he would go if he was exhausted from a long day at work. Sadly, we had no time to be tired since we had a small window to battle Brassius before Geeta gave us another random task. Thankfully, this was a very time efficient battle since our newly caught Dunsparce would give these grass types a paralyzing glare, then sweep them with its poison tail. Since we finally had a bit of time off, Larry and I tried to go catch his next Pokemon, Komala, which I've heard drop from the trees near Artisan if you headbutt them. However, since we didn't battle Cloth, we just couldn't go fast enough to shake the trees when we bump into them. So instead of smooth sailing towards the next gym, it was time to backtrack to the canyon where something strange happened. At first I thought the lighting in our Staravia was a bit strange because its feet looked a little weird, but once we took down the Titan, it became apparent that the game had glitched out and Larry was now in possession of an extremely rare blue Staravia. And honestly, Pokemon, if you're watching this, can you please make this the new color palette for the shiny Staravia? Because in my opinion, it looks really cool. The bad news was that this color did not remain, so once the battle was over, our bird was back to its normal self.
I'd rather it stays normal.
Are you saying you don't think blue Staravia looks cool?
It does. However, the unique color scheme will draw too much unwanted attention.
Is that your way of saying that you're shy?
Not shy, just very tired and busy. I don't have time to deal with noisy reporters, professors, or influencers.
Influencers? You know Iono's one of those, right? And we have to go challenge her pretty soon.
I am aware, which is why I requested some time off before we left Artisan.
And Geeta approved?
Well, it's never that simple with La Primera. You'll see.
Turns out Geeta had asked Larry to go take care of the giant bombardier which was causing trouble near the windmills north of Cartondo. Taking it down was easy thanks to our newly caught Komala, which put it to sleep with Yawn and then knocked it out of the sky with Rollout. Since we took care of this task so quickly, Larry decided to check the local area for other signs of giant Pokemon, and by that I mean he took a very slow walk on the long way around Cartondo and got to enjoy some nice peace and quiet. We also ran into the last Pokemon for Larry's team, Rufflet, right near the cliff where the TM for Rock Tomb can be found. This was very convenient because Larry's Rufflet happens to know Rock Tomb and it learns it from that TM. And with that, the time for convenience was over. At Levincia, we had to keep Iono's fans at bay while she was doing an IRL livestream, which wasn't too hard since her newly evolved Oinkologne happened to know Dig. Sadly, this move was not at all useful against Iono herself since she leads with a flying type watch roll. Thankfully, our normal type moves worked just fine. Then we could use Dig to weaken her belly bolt and follow up with Komala, which also put her Luxio to sleep and spammed Slam until it got knocked out. Iono was very shocked by this turn of events, but Larry and his Komala just yawned at her ace and put it to sleep. Then he followed up with Rufflet, which used Rock Tomb to lower its speed, and since he didn't want to stand out too much for being a great trainer, Larry decided to send out his ace and finish off the battle with a very normal terastallized quick attack. Up next, we went to Larry's second favorite town in Paldea, Cascarafa. It's got plenty of great restaurants, although he preferred how the town looked before it got remodeled. And of course, we had even more random work to do. Instead of battling Kofu, we had to go procure some special seaweed for his restaurant at Porto Marinara, which was an easy task since all we had to do was take down the other bidders by spamming grass-type moves. What wasn't so easy was watching this 45-second long load screen while this perfect game with no issues whatsoever tried to boot up the little cutscene that plays before we get to battle Kofu. And now you get to watch it with me too. So how's your day going? Have you played any interesting games lately? Personally, I've been having a ton of fun catching up on my backlog and got super sucked into Atelier Ryza 3. It's a slice of life RPG where you play as an alchemist, crafting some super overpowered items and exploring the world. It's kinda like a laid-back Xenoblade. Not a sponsor, just a hidden gem of a game that deserves a lot more love. Speaking of love, this loading screen is pretty great, isn't it? Can I get a like for the loading screen? I don't know what else to say here, but it's almost done. Finally. Unfortunately, we failed to take down Kofu's Veluza since our bullet seeds only hit twice both times we used the move, so we got Rufflet to help out. Komala easily slammed the Rocky Whack-A-Mole back into its rock, and that just left Crabrawler, which we paralyzed with a glare, and then we failed to finish it off with an aerial ace. We could have knocked it out the next turn, but this very visible sandstorm finished it off for us. Great game, no issues whatsoever.
Sounds to me like you don't like it here.
No, not really. I try to, but it's so hard when there's all these glitches and performance issues. I'm usually not that picky with graphics and stuff. Heck, I even enjoy games like CarQuest, but even I have some standards, you know?
Tell me about it.
Wait, you know about all the glitches too?
Of course. Floating coffee cups, a talking floor, all just an average day at the office for me.
And you're okay with the world being this messed up?
No. But what can I do to fix it? I'm just an average guy.
Aren't you like a project manager for a construction company? You're literally able to change things in this world.
Well, us humans, we can change the environment around us. But it takes time and a lot of effort, and perhaps it's better that way. I'd rather things be normal most of the time than have to worry about something new every day.
You're onto something, but it just doesn't sit well with me. Shouldn't we point out the problems and try to make things better?
Maybe, but I'm too tired to deal with all that.
But wouldn't you be less tired if the world was a better place?
You're getting a bit too philosophical there. Even if you were right, my ambitions just don't reach that high. I just want to do my job and enjoy some good food.
You sound like such a normie.
Exactly. Besides, I'm getting on in age. I'd rather look for satisfaction with the things I do have than stress over the state of the world. Anyways, break time's over. We have to get back to work.
And of course we had another Titan to take care of, which was once again on the other side of the map. Usually I don't like the battle, but I decided to give Larry a hand since I knew a move that could cut the opponent's HP in half. But because he was so time efficient, Larry got put on cleaning duty by Geeta, having to go check the roofs of the newly finished skyscrapers in Levincia, as well as the super accessible side street in Mesagoza that everyone has super easy access to. Yep, great design. Then it was back to the gym challenge. Rhyme Sucker Punched her Sucker Punch, and we used Bullet Seed to shred through Mimikyu's disguise. Then we slowly took down her leads, put Houndstone to sleep, and focused on her ace. That Houndstone turned out to be a lot stronger than expected, but it wasn't too much of a problem for her two birds. The battle against Tulip was also pretty smooth since we had strong normal type moves and Sucker Punch. Her floor just almost pulled a reverse sweep on us, but it didn't have enough HP left to counter Staraptor. The battle against Grusha was also very ordinary Larry. We just hit hard with some super effective moves and came out on top thanks to our trusty ace. But that is when this run started to deviate from the norm. Typically, I do not cover the team star battles in these runs, since they don't have anything to do with becoming champion. Those Starmobiles are pretty difficult to fight, especially if you have a very limited team, and at worst, they just gatekeep some recipes to TMs that I might need. But with Larry, there was one team star leader I had to defeat, and that was Eri. You see, the only way to get the TM for close combat is directly from her, and Larry needs that TM to teach the move to his Braviary. The problem is that Eri is the toughest of the team star bosses, and that Larry's normal type team has a huge disadvantage against her fighting types. So even though I want to see if Larry could become champion with his gym team, we were going to need to grab his Elite Four team for this specific battle. The good news was that most of his flying types are actually available at a high enough level around Cassiora Lake, the only exception being Oricorio, which is unfortunately a low-level early game Pokemon and it only shows up in 2 of its 4 forms, so I kept Braviary on the team instead. Tropius failed to one-shot Eri's lead, and since Grass is weak to poison, it got knocked out right away. We followed up with Staraptor, which is no longer locked in the A slot since this is the flying team, and finished off her first Pokemon. Our Brave Bird attack was so strong that we could also shred through her Annihilate and Passimian, and we switched to close combat to knock out her Lucario. That just left her with the overpowered car, which was too fast for our star. Braviary was able to cut its HP in half with a Brave Bird, but couldn't quite two-shot since Revavroom buffs its physical defense thanks to its stamina ability. But since it decided to shift gears instead of attack, Altaria was able to finish it off with a Moonblast, securing a victory for Larry and a TM for his normal team. Sadly, that was our last major victory, because when we went to battle the Elite Four, we only had an easy time winning against Rika, but failed to win against Poppy or Hassel. And yes, I tried both the normal and flying type teams and sadly, both failed, even with the Oricorio being added to the mix. The good news was that Larry's normal type team could beat Larry's flying type team, but winning against 2 of the 4 Elite Four just isn't enough to get to the champion rank. However, there's a chance Larry might still get a promotion if he could win against Geeta, so we cheesed our way through the fights and challenged Paldea's top champion. Oinkalong weakened her Espathra, then Braviary finished it off. It also punched through her Kingambit, but then lost its streak against her cool Veluza. Komala could counter it with Sucker Punch, but then we hit a roadblock, Avalugg. Avalugg is extremely bulky, and we had no super effective hits. We tried putting it to sleep and chipped away at its health with Stone Edge, but failed to knock it out in the end. That left Larry with just his Staraptor, which could finish off the Iceberg, and also one-shot the Go-Goat, leaving Geeta with just Glamora. And since Glamora turns into a rock type, we could hit with a super effective close combat. However, her ace managed to bulk through our attack and finish off Larry's final Pokemon. I did try to do some damage calculations to see how else this could have played out, but even the math says that more likely than not, Geeta would win here. I also tried to do the battle with Larry's flying type team, but that one did even worse. So unfortunately, if you play this as true to character as possible, Larry could not become champion in Paldea.
And I think that's a pretty normal outcome. Not everyone should be able to reach that high of rank.
It would also mean a lot more work for you, wouldn't it?
Looks like we're on the same page. Anyways, now that our work is complete, let's go grab some dinner at the Treasure Eatery.
My apologies, good sir. I was simply lost in thought and...
Didn't see you coming out the building.
Huh? A talking Pokemon?
A time-traveling talking Pokemon. The name's Vasco, and I've already met you several times.
Time travel, you say? Does that mean my dear Sada has finally achieved her goal?
Not sure what goal you're talking about, but she definitely sounded like she had that time machine around for quite some time before I ran into her.
I was hopeful that whatever possessed her a decade ago would cease if she achieved that far-fetched dream. Alas, it seems Terapagos' influence runs much deeper.
You know, I've heard so much about this Terapagos, but to be honest, I have no idea what this Pokemon is or where to even find them.
Who else knows about its existence? You must tell me at once.
You'll find out soon enough.
No, I must know now.
No, gentlemen. Let's calm down a bit.
I shall not. I've been seeking information on this Pokemon all over Paldea for the past decade, and have found nothing but a name. I need any and every clue I can collect.
Well, there's your clue.
Beep, beep, beep. Impossible. A terrestrial event? Now, of all times? How did you know?
Time travel, remember? This is the 4th time this event has happened after bumping into you, but it has been in a different place each time.
Interesting. But why would the location be different?
Because of the Butterfree effect, I think? Each time there's a different me getting lured by a different treasure of ruin, and Terrapagos turns the older version of me into a sealing stake or something like that.
As much as I want to believe you, the things you say make no sense.
I agree with the professor. Nothing this extraordinary ever happens in Paldea.
Beep, beep, beep.
Triangulation is complete, so let's go see for yourselves.
My stars. You had it right down to every detail. The stake, the proximity to a treasure of ruin. So what happens next?
Usually, the local curse will give me their powers, and then you shatter the stake.
I do wish to crush it immediately. But why would the treasures give you their powers? What role do you play in all of this?
I think I'm supposed to use it to defeat Terrapagos? But to be honest, I have no idea how to do that.
One hates to admit that one cannot answer such a question.
Yeah, none of the others had any clues either.
Perhaps one may make a suggestion.
Sure, I'm all ears.
One senses extreme hatred towards Terrapagos and that professor. Perhaps he could help guide you to that tortoise?
I wish, but he just told me that the only thing he could find about Terrapagos was its name.
One hates how close-minded people are. Of course Terrapagos will cover its tracks, especially on its home turf. That foolish professor should have looked elsewhere.
Well, nothing we could do about that now. Say, have we met before?
One just met a previous version of you, moments ago.
Yeah, I don't remember any of that, but there's still something familiar about you.
We have not met any other time.
Strange. Well, I'll try my best to put your powers to good use, I guess.
Good, for I am Chien-Pao, one born of hatred. And if you do not freeze in its icy winds, one's power shall be yours to wield. Wield them wisely, for if not, one shall despise you most of all.
That.
Beep, beep, beep. Quickly, Iron Valiant.
Huh, for once I don't feel all that different. Just a bit chilly. Anyways, Larry, I have a job for you.
Oh no.
And then what happened?
He told me how much he hated Paldea, changed forms, tried to battle me, and lost.
Sounds very similar to what's written in this letter. Sounds like he might be stuck in a very weird time loop. But the good news is that he is back to being a Tandemaus and is doing just fine.
Well then, I hope I can leave him in your care.
Oh, absolutely. Have yourself a safe trip back home, Mr. Larry.
I will. Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye-bye. Now then, Mr. Time-traveling, talking Pokemon.
Hello, Sada.
Ooh, you actually came out to talk this time.
Well, there's only 4 curses, and I have all 4 of their powers, so I'm not too sure if getting stuck in the time loop would help me make any progress.
Curses, you say? That's not in the letter.
Oh yeah, I haven't been telling you about those. Whoops.
Well, I better write that part down. Anyways, this letter suggests I should send you back in time again, regardless of what you say, so...
Before you do that, we should try to make some sort of plan.
Oh, well, what is there to plan in the first place? Just find another you, and we'll be good to go.
See, that's the problem. I don't think I'd fail to find another me as many times in a row. There's probably something or someone getting in the way.
Preposterous. There is no known being or phenomenon that would do something like that.
What about Terrapagos?
Who?
Wait, you're telling me you've never heard that name before?
No, but do tell me more.
Well, according to the Treasures of Ruin, they all said that Terrapagos was turning my older selves into sealing stakes. Oh, and those stakes are all made of the same gem that's all over that time machine room.
Interesting. I did not know these crystals could be made by a creature. You must tell me more.
That's all I know.
Well then, it sounds like we need to learn more about this Terrapagos.
As much as I want to agree, I don't think it'll be that easy.
And why is that?
Well, I've also met this traveling professor who's been looking for more information on Terrapagos, but he hasn't found anything in the past decade.
In that case, I'll just have to send you further back.
Wait, that sounds like a horrible idea.
Whatever do you mean? If there's no information in the present or the near past, then it makes perfect sense to widen the time travel interval.
Yeah, but then I'll probably die of old age by the time I get to meet you here again.
Not a problem, dear friend. I will just pull you back in time to the present.
Yes, a problem. None of the previous yous have been able to do that.
Well, that's because you were sent back to a time when another you already existed, causing an instance of the Butterfree effect. This time, that won't be the case.
I'm not buying it, and I don't want to risk it either.
What if I could prove to you that it is perfectly safe?
And how exactly would you do that?
I'm glad you asked. You see, when I first finished the time machine, I had to conduct several tests to make sure that using it would not cause any anomalies. And how do you think I did that?
I don't know. You sent random Pokemon and nothing seemed to have changed, so you thought it was safe.
Close. The Pokemon I used were not random. They were Tandemaus.
Tandemaus? Uh-oh.
You see, the nice thing about them is that they make the perfect lab Pokemon for research. Their composition is pretty similar to that of humans, which works out great, but they also have a pair partner which functions like an expression of quantum entanglement. If something were to happen to one of the mouse, the other would know. In a way, you share a brain cell.
Oh, no. I don't like where you're going with this.
But it's been done many times before, and it's perfectly safe. One mouse gets sent back in time, and if anything were to happen, the other that is in the present would know. And given you can talk, we'd know exactly what's going on.
And what if I get stuck?
Impossible. I have scientific proof that the Tandemaus experiment is 100% safe. While some other trials may have had a small margin of error, this specific procedure has had perfect performance every single time.
I'd still rather not risk it.
Well, if that's the case, the only thing I can do for you is to send you back in time again and hope you find another self. But given your track record, that method is doomed to get you stuck in an infinite time loop. This is our best alternative. So what do you say?
I don't like it one bit, but fine, I'll trust you, just this once.
Yay! Now, please step in this machine so we can begin the separation process. You may feel a bit disoriented at first, but I assure you, both of your bodies will be perfectly fine.
Whoa, that's weird. It's like I'm looking in a mirror, but the mirror looks mirrored. I always forget that that's a thing. I know, right?
Sounds like you're doing just fine. Now then, let's go to the time machine.
Well, I guess I'm off to the past, and I'm here in the present.
And we begin. See? Nothing's changed. We're both here.
Whoa, this is weird. I can see you, but I can also see things my other self is seeing.
Now that's exciting. You should be near the lighthouse in Los Platos.
Yeah, looks like it, but there's no lab there.
That's because I've sent you back to when I was still a student, long before I bought the lighthouse and had a home built at its base.
So what am I supposed to do in the past again?
Well, I'd say go find me and ask me to help you find that traveling professor. Then give him the information from the future.
Won't that cause a Butterfree effect?
It will not. I've tested this by sending my past self information before. It has never once changed the future.
I see. So, where do I go look for you?
Around this time, I should be at the academy. Probably in the biology lab. I used to love that place.
Got it. Well, while my other half does that, what do we do?
We stay here and bring you back as soon as the mission is complete.
Wow, this is going a lot more smoothly than I expected.
Like I said, perfectly safe. Huh? What are you doing here? I'm afraid your little game is over. I cannot allow you to get any closer to Terrapagos.
There's a second Sada?
About that. She's my trusty research assistant, but she's never acted this strange before. Rowing Moon, go.
Sada, are you okay?
I'll be fine, but I don't know what's gotten into her. He is a threat to our paradise, so I must stop this procedure and terminate the threat.
Terminate?
It appears Terapagos was correct to be concerned, and since the curse has failed, this is where your journey ends. No, Sada, I did not think you too would threaten our paradise. But no matter, this ball shall not protect him, for we have other ways of dealing with such pests. Just what do you think you're doing? Hey, give that back! Time machine, initiating. Destination, 1 millennium. May we never meet again.